another night on Untold. Hussein Al-Ajouz, and I'm joined by Ahmed Al-Mazeedi.
Hello, Habib.
Ahmed, good to see you again in the new studio.
Love the studio. Love having these episodes with you, hosting the show.
It is exciting.
And I love when we have medical people on the show.
Absolutely. Today is about dermatology.
Dermatology, skincare, something we might not, as men, pay attention to.
And in the culture as well. I think in the region, it's a very
Yeah.
hot place in the world. We live in a very, very hot country, and I think it's taken for granted.
Yes, we're going to cover a lot of important topics and questions.
Yeah.
So let's welcome our guest, Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajji, right after this. We're back on the show, welcoming our very special guest, Dr. Ahmed. Welcome on the show.
Thank you, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on board.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And we'll start with very simple. You're a dermatologist.
Yep.
My question is to every profession I meet, what got you into that profession? Why you chose dermatology?
Throughout medical school, I kind of we kind of had experience with the the hardcore stuff, medicine and surgery. And whenever we had a small brief stint with dermatology, it kind of like it got me thinking, like it's such a complex specialty that has so much implications on people's life,
Absolutely.
because everything shows up on the skin. That's the first thing
Yeah,
you look at. You
yeah.
look at someone's face, look at
Does
someone's
actually?
skin. Yeah.
I'm actually asking. I'm curious because you said everything. Okay.
No, definitely. I mean, there are some autoimmune conditions, obviously, that have other effects,
Yeah.
like say on the joints or whatever. But like, let's take acne for example. You know, like such a simple, kind of disease that can have so much of a social implication on a person's life.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. But then again, so what you're saying is like kind of like that's the tip of the iceberg. That
Exactly.
There's always more to things that show up in your skin that people
Absolutely.
take for granted.
Absolutely.
But I guess, again, my question gets rephrased to what got you into medicine in general.
So, ironically, I wanted to be a pilot.
Oh,
Wow.
When I was growing up,
Okay.
I was a bit young,
Oh.
and my grades were actually really good. And so, every Arab family has the
They're like
the dream.
engineer
you
or
have to be a doctor.
doctor.
No.
no,
But
the
I
doctor
actually,
is number one.
yeah, no. So actually, I went away on a holiday once,
Okay.
just before I had to come back and pick what I wanted.
Where'd you go?
Yeah.
I went to Cyprus. Actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
Love
went to Cyprus.
Was
Yeah.
that like the kind of like the trip to find yourself?
Yeah, kind of. Well, kind of in a sense. It was kind of just a quick summer getaway. I kind of
Fair.
had my had my mindset really on engineering.
Okay.
So when I was there, I kind of bumped into an old guy, and we just sat there having a casual conversation. And it turns out that he was actually a cardiovascular surgeon. So he's telling me his life stories and his mantra in life and everything, and it kind of got me thinking. And then when I came back, I was like, maybe this is me. I was
That's
like,
such a nice coincidence.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. No, it was completely like
So it
out of
wasn't
the
the
blue.
family pressure.
No. All jokes aside, no.
Okay.
Because I would have actually thought that your family has history in that field, in the medicine field.
Yeah, I
and you
do.
can
I do.
like-
I have some
Okay.
of my siblings are actually in the medical sector as
Oh,
well.
there we go. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Um,
Family doctors.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I came back and I was like, you know what? Let me give this a shot. I don't like being told that something's too hard for me.
Right?
Nice. You take a
Right.
challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So the way on upside, is it the same way where you actually get into medicine and you get to specialize? Is that same trend, or do you decide from the start that I want to do this?
No, I think he mentioned that he was in medical school first.
So medical. So it's the same way. So you do medical school for a few years and then you specialize in
exactly.
dermatology.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Fair,
I did
okay.
med school for about 7 years.
Okay.
And
7
then,
years, that's average, yeah.
when you finish, you kind of
Choose
you're an
specialty.
intern basically, and you
Intern,
kind of
yeah.
have to decide what career path you want to go to, what specialty,
Mm.
and then based on that specialty, there are further specializations if you choose to.
course.
Where did you do your studies?
So I did my medical school here in Kuwait, Faculty
Kuwait.
of Medicine,
Awesome.
and I did my residency here as well in
You did
dermatology.
your residency here?
Yeah, 5
Cool.
years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
So can you remember? Because usually when you get into such a huge challenge, obviously you probably remember that the first moment you went into the real life and you had your first patient. Do you actually remember that? Is that a memory that you have?
I kind of remember my first day as an intern, my first night shift actually. It was
Night
quite,
shift.
Yeah.
And that's after graduating, after finishing.
Yeah, exactly.
As a
exactly.
resident,
yeah.
you're talking about?
Yeah, no, as an intern.
As an, okay.
As an intern.
Yeah.
So I was doing my internal medicine rotation, and I still remember my night shift, my first night shift. It was really eventful. It was everything I hoped it wouldn't be.
Were you in the ER or where?
No, I was actually in the wards.
In the wards,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I guess my next question is, let's segue into dermatology. Let's talk about skincare, right? It's everyone's, big thing to them, especially with acne when you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Is it mostly our diets?
With regards to acne or in general with dermatology?
Acne, since we're going to start
So
with
acne,
that.
there obviously is a dietary component.
Right.
There's a hormonal component. There are genetic components
Mm.
and environmental components as well,
Right.
including the medications that we take can trigger
Yeah.
some acne in some patients. So it's not exactly a straightforward answer.
Okay.
It's multifactorial. That's what we can
There's
say.
always a debate to everything. I think it could be
Yeah.
diet, could be a lot of things.
The one thing I kept hearing and never believed is chocolate causing acne.
So chocolate gets a lot of the blame. And
Is there any?
Yeah. So basically, foods with a high glycemic
Yeah.
index. So anything that causes your blood sugar to to
Spike?
skyrocket. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To spike.
So that's the reason. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
chocolate can cause acne.
Yeah.
And
To a certain extent, not in everybody though. but
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I mean, this might sound like a lecture question. But like, how does it actually happen? Like, let's assume I actually eat a chocolate that's actually going to influence getting me acne. Like, what is acne?
No, look. So these are external factors that you have to have a kind of a predisposition to kind of develop acne.
Right.
So not every person who eats chocolate is going to get a spot. You know.
So it's not like causality. It's not like a correlation.
No. It's not. No. It's multifactorial. Like I said, it's really complex, and I like to say medicine is an evolving field, and every kind of every year we're learning something new.
So it's true when they say, because my dad always looked at me. He's like, if you become a doctor, you'll never stop learning. So is it actually true? Like, is it true that you're always learning?
100%. I always say this: you're a student for life.
I mean, I can say that about any field you're in.
Fair. I think if you go into it with an open mind, curiosity.
Yeah, and the thing about medicine is that it constantly requires you to be updated. You know, you have to always be up to date with the latest, treatment guidelines.
Of course.
Latest
I'm sure.
therapies, you know.
And there's another thing I want to talk about: puberty and acne. What is the connection there? Why do teenagers quickly get acne as they're maturing?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but just briefly, it's got to do with the hormonal profile. You have all these androgens. Once you go through puberty,
right?
And this obviously plays a role in the development of
almost everyone
acne.
gets it in that stage of their life.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
a certain number of patients. Yeah.
I find it interesting how it's such a simple. I mean, obviously it's a part of human life, but it actually affects people on social level as well.
Yeah, because beauty standards and it's subjective, but
absolutely,
it causes a lot of
especially
issues.
During your teenage years, you have a lot of social dynamics.
Yeah,
of course, you're building yourself at that time, and then suddenly you get this one external factor that's affecting your life, and people are actually
100%. Yeah, exactly. So your social circle at school, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So the question is, and this probably goes to a lot of doctors, because I see that you study for years and years and years and years, and so the question is what you studied reflected in real life? Is that what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, in your 5-year residency, you also see patients during your residency, and
you're basically a doctor. You just have a superior.
Exactly. No, and you're not just. It's not just that. I mean, you're seeing patients, you're treating patients, you're going out to the hospital to wards to see patients, and I feel like like your specialty is constantly an evolving field. It kind of has to. It's hard work,
Yeah.
It's hard work, and that goes for every specialty, to be honest.
So the question I have is what is one thing that you feel you're facing in your real life specialty and work that you didn't see in the books?
No.
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, to be honest,
maybe it's the other way around. You saw some things in the books that you never saw in life.
Oh yeah, 100%,
right?
100%. Yeah. And this goes for every specialty.
Because of rare cases you study.
Obviously, yeah, definitely. I feel like you don't always get, your patients are never tailored to you. You kind of have to, and this is the part of the challenge of being, a good physician, a physician who's up to date, who's seen a number of cases, because you have to kind of learn to filter out what complaints are relevant and what are irrelevant.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
Your patient could be coming to you complaining of one thing, where in fact, they have
something else
that's kind of linked to the bigger picture of what's causing all of this. So you kind of have to put 2 and 2 together
Very interesting. Wow.
It's never black and white.
It
Yeah.
literally goes back to the person's belief. Then.
I want to piggyback on his question. So you go.
No, it's just that I guess it's interesting because I think it all goes back to what the person comes and tells you. Because I think it all like there's a lot of bias or false information that happens from the patient. And I guess you as a doctor, you're just taking what he's saying and you're kind of like diagnosing him for what he's saying. But he might be over exaggerating his case. He might be just telling you the wrong things. He might be just too scared. So you have to weed people. to that
Yeah,
extent.
I mean, part of being, a great physician is, or a complete physician, let's say, is that you have to kind of address the patient's fears and concerns. It's not just diaging in, diagnosis, boom, treatment,
Right,
see you in a month.
You're dealing with a human being.
You're dealing with a human. You have to, you have to kind of like reassure them. You have to acknowledge their concerns.
A good doctor would.
You have to address their concerns because,
of course.
To you it might seem trivial, but to the teenager who's in high school,
it's causing a big issue in his life.
It's it's completely ruining her social life at high school. So you kind of have to the human component is
I finally
also
remembered.
really important.
I finally remembered my
question.
question.
There we go. Go ahead.
How often do you see a case that you haven't experienced before or read about?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So medicine is one of those things.
Completely new to you,
Well, I wouldn't say completely new, but like I said, this goes back to what I was saying. Like you never actually have patients who are tailor-made,
Right?
And not every patient is what you see in the book.
True.
So sometimes certain ethnicities.
This is where experience kicks in.
Yeah, and absolutely, and
analyzing.
100%, and you have to understand that different people, different ethnicities,
Right.
different kind of like how can I say, medications they're taking can influence whatever kind of presentation they're in.
No, I remember my friend once told me he's also doing medicine. He told me that they take a course on how do we face clients with bad news. Like they take a course on how to tell.
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting, and that's why I told you if you found anything in real life that you didn't see in the books, because I feel like being a doctor, you literally deal with so many people. And if you have a lot of bookings, like every 15 minutes almost, you have a new patient or whatever. It's very short intervals. So is this something that you have to? How do you keep up with seeing this many cases in one day? Doesn't it burn you out?
I think that
part of the job.
It's not just part of the job per se. I mean, I feel like you have to kind of remember why you're in it in the first place.
Exactly. That's a good point. Yeah.
And,
Dermatologist takes an oath too.
Yeah, we all take the Hippocratic oath.
You take,
And I think it's very important to hold true to those standards as much as possible.
Well,
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
No, fair. Thank you.
You did.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a break and we'll come back and maybe touch on skin caring routines.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back with Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajji.
Back from the break, and we can continue the chat about skincare and dermatology in general. Summer is literally around the corner. It's here. There's a lot of talk that happens about skincare. Your skin goes dry in this weather. A lot of beach time.
Getting sunscreen on because of the sun.
Exactly.
And how it affects the skin and developing real diseases. So
tell us more about it.
Sunscreen is super important, especially this time of year, and
is it important to every skin tone?
Of course,
Okay.
And I think it's applicable not just in the summer. I mean, it should be all throughout the year. You should have sunscreen as part of your daily regimen. I think it's important, now that we're exposed to, a lot of sunlight and heat as well, to stay hydrated.
Hydration is key.
And it's important to have a broad spectrum sunscreen.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Basically, broad spectrum basically means that it covers for not just UVA, it covers UVB as well.
Okay.
So they both play a role.
I don't see people actually doing that. People don't.
People that tan do, right?
But even people that
that tan, they tend to put tanning oil.
So people think that's the thing, because I talk to a lot of people like, do you have any protection on your face? They're like, I don't need it. I'm like,
I
what
feel
do
like
you mean you don't need it?
our culture isn't fully into that world where they protect themselves.
Yeah, but I feel like that awareness is increasing, and it's essentially becoming more and more, and people are becoming more and more educated about this.
That is a topic that's taken for granted, though. It is definitely taken for granted. Like people genuinely.
I mean, I tell them like you you have a simple way to kind of help fight off, premature aging and skin cancer. Why not?
So again, just to follow up, I just again find it because whenever I go to, especially now beach season, beach season, there's a lot of terminologies we see in the pharmacies, the SPFs and the creams and the different creams and different brands.
So many products.
So you literally walk into a pharmacy and you're like, what
You
do
don't
I
know what
buy?
to
What is good
choose.
for me? And then you have to ask the pharmacist many questions. Does this have a tan? And does it have an SPF? And is it 50, 30, 100, 80? And have to Google things in the pharmacy.
Yeah. So I understand why people, tend to go to.
Could be confusing sometimes.
Yeah. Not just that, and I understand why people, they want a tan because to them this is kind of like a beauty standard and makes them look,
Which I never understood.
it gives them that they look, more healthy.
Wait, they look more if they do what exactly?
If they tanned and
This
had
is
that
what they
perfect
think.
golden tone.
Yeah, no, but the thing is with something important I want to touch up on is that people tend to think that, okay, I put my sunscreen.
Yeah.
I can go out all throughout the day, live my life.
Yeah.
But it gives them the false sense of security.
Right.
Because it's not just about,
applying
the
cream.
sunscreen. You have to obviously reapply it, frequently, especially if you're going in the water and out.
Right.
At the same time, you have to wear protective clothing, including long sleeve shirts, hats. You want to avoid the peak from, let's say, 11 to about 4 p.m.
Right.
It's a lot to think of.
So you're saying,
Absolutely.
with the summer coming here in Kuwait, and our summers with the sun we have, how serious is it that I need to put sunscreen actively every day through the summer?
I think that it should be a part of your, your lifestyle.
Really?
Definitely part of your lifestyle
and
regimen.
what am I risking by not?
So you risk basically premature aging, which can show in the
That's the
form
one
of
that most of them
wrinkling.
talk about. Most of the doctors talk about that. It's very interesting.
Not just that. I mean, as with any kind of sunburn, you can develop dyspigmentation.
Okay. And then skin cancer. There's also that.
And there's also that.
There's also that.
We don't see it as frequently in our population versus the rest of the world, but it's still there.
Is there a cultural difference? Because obviously we don't have the awareness in Kuwait, for example, that level of awareness. But do we see differences in awareness across different countries? In terms of
so
skincare.
So the highest rates of skin cancer are usually found in Australia, because they're fair skinned and they live at a latitude, equatorial latitude. I believe that's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're exposed to really harsh sunlight.
Okay.
And they're already Caucasian.
Right. So since you mentioned that, are Caucasians more affected by the sun than someone like me?
Yeah, so we have something called, we like to call it Fitzpatrick scale. So basically classifies people depending on how easily they tan or how easily they burn. So people who are, let's say Fitzpatrick 1 and 2, they're more prone to, getting skin cancer and burning easily.
And that part is the white skin tones, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fairer skin tones,
Darker tones are a little bit protected, we can say?
To a certain extent. They are less prone to developing sunburn, but it's still possible.
Because I usually say I'm self-protected because of my color.
No. That's the false sense of security.
False sense of security.
Exactly.
Can we actually go? There's one thing because we're saying that we tan a lot and we're using the word tan. I'm curious. What does tanning mean?
Scientifically,
what happens when someone tans?
So basically, we kind of have two effects. We have immediate pigmentary darkening. There's a lot of fancy words for this.
Okay, go ahead.
And you have something
Use
called
all of them.
and delayed pigmentation.
Yeah.
So basically, immediate pigment darkening occurs when there's oxidation with UVA, whereas the UVB is basically a delayed tanning. Is basically what you see in a few days that tends to last for a week or two. Once you're in the sun, usually when you come back home the same day, you feel like you're a lot darker than you were earlier in the morning.
Yeah.
And this is, what I said, the immediate pigment.
It's very interesting. So two questions actually. Well, after the beach, I usually, I always wonder why we peel. Why do we peel? That's the first thing. And the second thing, is it important to put, I put this skin repair cream.
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely think that, moisturizing creams are definitely a mainstay, especially if you're, you're in the sun. And whether you're in the sun or not, actually.
So you have to use it. Okay, fair. Because I only use it in that season.
Yeah.
And then why do we peel?
So you peel basically maybe because you've been exposed too much or you've been sunburnt. So this is kind of like these are basically like almost, I could say, dead skin layers.
Oh, okay.
Right. And are there any risks to tanning?
Yeah, obviously, you know,
'Cause you're
everything I've
exposing
told you
your-
for
yeah,
not using the
exactly.
sunscreen. Yeah,
So
no, no.
this, even if you apply the sunscreen and then you sit that length of time to tan, isn't that just bad?
So- I do not condone tanning whatsoever. You know,
Thank you.
it's this is
you're
our
asking for trouble.
yeah, 100%. You're
And then
asking
we
for
have
trouble.
tanning beds. What do you think about that?
No, that's a big no-no.
That's a big
That's-
no-no.
That's been banned in some countries actually.
Wait, to do what?
Tanning beds.
Tanning beds.
Tanning bed?
You don't know what that is? You haven't seen movies, TV
A
shows?
tanning bed. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, tanning bed.
He's saying it's banned in some countries.
Why?
Yeah, because it
Because-
has high rate. It causes skin cancer.
So how? I mean,
A
So
lot,
why
a lot
do
of
they,
cases of skin
like-
cancer.
All that for beauty. False beauty standards, that is.
Yeah, portrayed by media.
Media.
okay. And is there? Do you feel? Obviously, in every field, there's always an ideal location, an ideal. I don't know. Is there in the world? Is there an ideal place where they're actually practicing proper skincare, essentially? Where
I
we see
would say
differences
the
in statistics?
Westerners more likely.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you because there's I mean obviously they have a higher rates of skin cancer versus us, so they're
And
you know,
awareness.
yeah. So obviously there's more awareness being put into the the advertising, the campaigns over there and everything. So I
So they
think
are raising more awareness over there than here. Okay.
and not, as well as here as well. We definitely encourage sunscreen and to a lot of our patients in the outpatient department in the clinic.
Now, what would you say should be a part of my daily routine when I wake up? Should I have like a face wash?
Yeah, definitely.
I-
I think you
What
should
is
have.
essential, you would say?
I think you should have a face wash,
Face
and
wash.
you should definitely have a moisturizing cream along with sunscreen,
Okay.
All of those in the morning, every morning for anyone.
and you reapply your
And
moisturizers
reapply.
throughout the
It's
day.
time consuming.
Because I think
Yeah.
it is time consuming. On social media, once I actually came across this video that said exactly the opposite. So this is the question I have to say: is this a debate? Is this where because someone on social media once said that all you have to do is wash your face and that's it, and then now you should be saying they have to apply a lot of cream. So like in my head,
So I mean, like you're always gonna have conflicting opinions when it comes
Yeah.
to almost anything, especially whether it's from dermatology to skincare to
Yeah.
sunscreen use, and
Yeah.
especially with the part where I say people go like sunscreen, some people don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Obviously the science backs it up.
Right.
And
okay, that's good to know at least. The
yeah,
science backs it up.
yeah, and I feel like definitely you're gonna have a lot of people with conflicting opinions. So you can try it out, and you can tell me the difference that you see.
What about the modern way of obviously we go to all these stores nowadays and we see how they modernize the creams into masks and whatnot, and so it's becoming a trend almost where everyone has to put a mask and whatnot. So are those actually healthy? Are they
I mean, like I don't
Depends
see
on the
any.
product.
we don't want to generalize. We don't want to
Yeah.
generalize.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
is
So
bad.
it's kind of a vague question or vague area so to speak. But theoretically speaking, most masks don't contain anything harmful, and
Because at the end of the day, it is a private industry. I mean, and there's a lot of businesses that play a role in this
100%,
industry.
yeah.
So this is the question is, I mean, there's a lot of brands we can trust, but like me as a user, when I look, for example, food, we know we have to look at the ingredients sometimes, nutrients. We have to,
Right.
and we have to choose
mean,
them,
you
choose
should.
what's good for us.
Yeah.
So is there something that people have to choose? And
Is there
focus
certain
on?
ingredients we
I
shouldn't?
mean, like okay, we'll go back to
Yeah.
the example of let's say acne. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good one.
So let's say when you're looking for a moisturizer or a sunscreen or whatever, you're trying to look for something that says non-comedogenic, so something that doesn't block the pores, which
Right.
might exacerbate acne. There are a lot of known brands. I don't want to get into that.
No, fair. It's just it's a big debate. I know. It's just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these brands are held to very high standards, and I think most people shouldn't run into any issues.
Oh, I respect that. Fair. It sounds very straightforward. I'll be honest, but then again, it's just so hard to stick to. I'll be honest. Yeah.
I want to touch on, maybe we segue into what are the advancements we've seen lately, per your experience, advancements, technology maybe, in terms of dermatology. Any recent?
You mean in aesthetics and
and however, in the field of
The field in
dermatology,
general.
but using tech, like what tech advancements have been made?
I mean, well, when it comes to technology, we have something called reflectance confocal microscopy. That's a
Wait,
handful.
is that one word?
Yeah, it's 3 words, but it's kind of one. It's a name for something
What is
basically. So
that?
basically, it's an ultra high power kind of lens where
Oh.
it can actually zoom in on the affected lesion and kind of see it on a molecular level or a very let's say microscopic level,
Okay.
so to speak. We also have, our dermoscopes, which are basically handheld devices that allow us to kind of like zoom in on a skin lesion.
Like technology to actually diagnose, perhaps, see
Yeah.
things that you couldn't see before.
Yeah, exactly,
fair.
exactly. And we can examine a lesion, and based on that, we can kind of have a preliminary sense of whether this lesion is benign or malignant. If it's something we should be worried about, or it's something,
Lovely.
harmless.
Well, Dr. Ahmed, thank you so much for that
Thank you,
extremely
thank you.
insightful episode, honestly.
No, thank you.
It's a lot for us to take on board.
I love these medical episodes on the Untold.
lot
I know
of
we're going
terms,
to continue
a lot-
after.
a lot of terms.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, well,
Thank you for your time, Dr.
Thank you,
Ahmed
thank you,
Al-Hajji.
thank you
Thank you for coming on
Pleasure,
the
honestly.
No, the
Untold.
pleasure is all mine.
And we'll be back for the wrap up. What an episode. Didn't you learn so many new things?
a lot of terms.
A lot of terms.
No, but a good episode.
Good episode.
A lot to learn from.
Is a great character.
Yeah.
Has so much information. I feel like he had so
does.
much more to tell. We didn't touch about, Botox and
Of
beauty
course,
and all that
it's
stuff.
it's a huge field.
It's a huge field. It's a huge
But
field.
I just think people, including ourselves, I think we actually need to take it on board and actually do these things. Practice the routine.
At least the essentials, like he said.
100%.
You know?
100%.
So
wake up
hopefully
and-
after today we actually listen
Are
and
you?
start taking care of our skins.
Looking forward.
We're looking forward.
All right.
We'll be joined next time with another guest sharing their story right here on the Untold. So stay tuned.
Good night.
Good night.